But anyways, let's do this. Bitcoin is at 36.8. It was, a little bit above 37. Last night, you know, unfortunately, the situation we're in is Wall Street is not sure what to do, and Bitcoin is highly correlated with the market, with the equities market right now. Because I'll tell you, last night, right? Last night, I was watching things, and Bitcoin was like, coming up from its bottom, right? It was just coming up, and then all of a sudden, like very, very, very late, it just like all of a sudden just reversed course. And then I noticed, well, that's because the futures market turned negative, red. And it was very, very red this morning. And now it's in the green, but barely in the green. So it's just like very volatile time right now. Very, very volatile time. Unfortunately, it is affecting Bitcoin because a lot of those traders, unfortunately, are dabbing in and out, in and out, in and out of Bitcoin right now, and just causing a whole lot of confusion, right? Which is why Cramer said what he said, but I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But, just to lay it out in terms of what happened with the equities market today, the only true winner is Apple. Apple beat earnings by a lot, top end, bottom end, even said supply chain issues by March will start getting better. So everyone is all bullish about Apple, and that is why NASDAQ is rallying, because it does show that there are good tech stocks that does not need to be sold off, that doesn't need to be, doesn't need to be a risk-on asset that needs to be sold, right? So it's kind of going against the grain and making some of the tech companies rise up today, and they're up pretty good. But what doesn't make sense is Robinhood, which reported horrible earnings. Everything went down. Revenue went down, profit went down, active users went down. Basically, Robinhood's model is broken. It doesn't work. And they seem to be bleeding out while their stock isn't doing too good. Except the fact that they were like negative 10% in pre-market. Now they're actually up because it seems like all the traders that are still utilizing it to play option calls with GME AMC, maybe they're buying back in. There's like zero reason why Robinhood should be up today because they just reported like the worst quarterly ever for any kind of company. So that doesn't make any sense, right? Where bad news turned into good news. So there's that. We also got another key piece of information measuring inflation, which measured that it went up by 4.9% from a year ago, which is the fastest gain since 1983. So this is another metric. This is the core personal consumption expenditures price index. That's a mouthful. And this is not CPI. I'm sure this is measuring other stuff, but it does show that inflation is still on the rise, is not good at all. And this is what Fed Chairman Powell is trying to fix, right? But remember, I've been saying good news is bad news right now with Wall Street. Good economic news, which usually pumps up the market, causes the market to dump because the better the economic news, the more likely traders think that Powell will be aggressive and hawkish with his rate hikes, which will be bad for risk-on assets like tech and Bitcoin, right? So the better the news, the worse it is for the market right now. And sometimes you get bad news, it's also bad for the market. And sometimes you get bad news, and it's also good for the market. So you just really don't know what's really happening right now. I mean, it's all over the place. Since like a week ago, or maybe even beyond that, it's just like all over the place. So it's really hard to determine what's good and what's not. Okay. And I don't know, this is good. So this leads to my point, do Bitcoin holders need to give up? Well, that's what Cramer thinks. Cramer thinks to have a true bottom, we need to have the market do a give up moment. Okay. And I watched him this morning. So I got up a little bit early, was just tuned into CNBC, watch Cramer, joke around with his buddies on air, and he was very bearish indeed, very bearish overall, very bearish in Mad Money, telling everyone basically prepare for the worst. And now he's come out and said basically everyone needs to just give up. We need to have that horrific dump or crash before we find a bottom, before we should all jump back in and get higher, right? So basically, Cramer is very, very bearish. And I do believe some people in the crypto market also feels this way. I've seen it. I've seen a lot of people make some bullish calls saying, hey, Bitcoin needs to hit 28,000 before it could go back up, or Bitcoin needs to hit 20,000 before it could head back up, right? A lot of people's waiting for like a doomsday drop before we could go back up. So, do you agree? Do you agree? Well, for me, I say no. I don't agree, right? I think we had a pretty bad correction already. Bitcoin is off 50% from its highs, and many altcoins are off 60, 70% from their highs. I believe we formed that bottom at 33,000, right? Or we're close to that bottom. But I don't believe that it's healthy to have a total give up moment where literally everyone have capitulated and then we'll find that bottom. Although, you know what? There's always going to be people in the space, like the true holders, the long-term holders, that will never give up. So, you know what? Maybe if that did happen, we would get a bottom, right? But I don't think it's absolutely necessary for that to happen before the market continues upwards.